Who is the most underrated team of all time? Is it the 2004 Pistons? Is it the 2011 Mavericks? Yes, both those teams were massive underdogs going into the NBA Finals, but over the years, more basketball fans have come to appreciate their championship runs. Most of us acknowledge them as great teams that were mostly underrated due to having only one superstar between them and Dirk Nowitzki. Although yes, they both have gotten a lot of notoriety from their supposed juggernauts they defeated, the 2004 Lakers with 4 Hall of Famers and the 2011 Heat with 3. However, there is one team who had a similar story, with only one Hall of Famer who relied on a team game to pull off an upset in the NBA Finals against a juggernaut. This team had, in my opinion, the greatest teamwork playing style superstar in NBA history. This team was none other than the 1977 Portland Trail Blazers, led by none other than the legend himself, Big Red Bill Walton. My mom went to UCLA many years ago, and my parents were huge fans of the legendary coach John Wooden. So growing up, I heard a lot from my dad about the legendary UCLA teams led by Bill Walton, and my dad had a friend who took him to a lot of games. Shout out to my dad's friend Barry, wherever you are. Thanks for the UCLA t-shirts. So I always thought of Bill Walton as a legendary college player whose career got destroyed by foot injuries, similar to another Trailblazers legend, Greg Oden, and also Sam Bowie, who famously got picked before Michael Jordan. Dang, sorry Portland, you guys have had some bad luck. But 2 years ago, I had always loved Bill Walton's craziness commentating on broadcasts, so when I saw they were releasing a 30-30 on him called The Luckiest Man in the World, I decided to watch it. Of course, most autobiographical documentaries focus on themselves, but in typical Bill Walton fashion, it was scene after scene of him talking about various coaches and teammates that changed his life and giving them all the credit. The most moving tribute he gave being to his friend, the late great Maurice Lucas, who we'll get to in a second.
But the leader of the team was Maurice Lucas, who was just such a powerful and spiritual force of nature. Because not only was he the greatest Blazer ever, he was just the coolest dude ever.
But I was surprised to learn that Bill Walton won a championship with the Blazers in 1977. I had only ever heard of him winning as a sixth man with the Celtics in 1986. After watching the documentary, I immediately began researching all about that 1977 NBA Finals, and quickly concluded that this is indeed the most underrated team of all time. Now, as I said before, the beauty of this team was their team-oriented approach. Bill Walton is probably the second greatest passing center of all time after Nikola Jokic. Essentially, they would get him touches in the post, and he would coordinate the offense brilliantly. What I believe makes this team the most underrated team of all time is that 1. Nobody expected them to do much that year because Bill Walton had struggled with injuries. Their record was 37-45 the previous year. And 2, they were expected to get swept by the heavily favored 76ers led by Dr. J. And 3, they are still to this day the youngest team to ever win an NBA championship with an average age of 24.2, just below the newly crowned OKC Thunder at 25.6. I bet you didn't know that one. Now, what led this team to have such a magical run in 1977 and have such an impressive turnaround? The improvement in health of Bill Walton and the acquisition of team leader Maurice Lucas. Maurice and Dr. J were both acquired from the ABA and had immediate impact on their respective teams. As Bill recounts in the documentary, Lucas walked up to him the first meeting, looked him in the eyes and said, "We're going to win the NBA championship." He helped completely transform Bill's mentality, combining the technique, talent, and teamwork he learned at UCLA with Maurice Lucas's toughness. They quickly flourished. Every time Lucas threw down a hammer, the Portland crowd would chant, "Luke!" So when Walton's third son was born, he named him Luke after his hero Maurice Lucas, who, as most of you know, Luke became a Laker player and coach later in his life and had his final season wrecked when LeBron demanded the whole team be traded for AD mid-season, and when it fell through, the locker room was destroyed. But I digress. With Lucas and Walton becoming best friends, the team quickly flourished.
For the Blazers, everything began with Walton, and for that year, he was one of the greatest centers ever to play.
I've never seen anybody do it like him. When the big redhead was right, he was right.
The young Blazers would burst into the postseason, gaining confidence with every game.
Walton missed 17 games, with the Blazers going 5-12 in those games, but they went 44-21 with him in the lineup and finished third in the Western Conference behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. They beat Chicago and Artis Gilmore 2-1 in the first round, then the Nuggets led by Dan Issel and David Thompson in the second round 4-2. Then the first shocker. They swept Kareem and the Lakers 4-0 to advance to their first NBA championship. But it appeared the run would end there with the heavily favored 76ers led by Dr. J, who was flanked by all-stars Doug Collins and George McInnes, and other NBA legends such as Caldwell Jones, World B. Free, and Daryl Dawkins, nicknamed Chocolate Thunder by Stevie Wonder. The 76ers won the first 2 games, including a blowout in Game 2, and it was looking like it was all over. But there was a defining moment near the end of that game. Daryl Dawkins and Caldwell Jones had been physically abusing Bill Walton and shutting him down. On a rebound, Bob Gross and Dawkins fought for the ball and got into scuffle. As they came back down the court, Dawkins threw a punch at Gross which missed and actually struck his teammate Doug Collins in the face, which eventually needed stitches. Maurice Lucas had been watching the physical treatment of his teammates, especially Walton, throughout the game and knew something needed to be done. As he ran up the court, he pursued Dawkins, throwing an elbow and challenging him to fight. They squared up in the middle of the court, and it led to another brawl. The game was lost, but the message was sent by Lucas. The abuse of Walton was over. However, the next game, Lucas shocked everyone. During pregame introductions of Game 3, after Blazers fans unrelentingly booed Dawkins, Lucas was introduced before a sellout Memorial Coliseum crowd. But instead of jogging to stand next to his teammates as was common practice, Lucas trotted towards the 76ers bench to stand face to face with the stunned Dawkins. Some in the crowd gasped and Philadelphia players backed away from the 2 hulky men, no doubt because they expected another brouhaha. But instead of raising his fists, Lucas reached for Dawkins' right hand, squeezed hard, and said, "No hard feelings." Dawkins was frozen. After that, he was done. "One of the smartest things I ever did," Lucas said. The Blazers won that game with Lucas scoring 27, and they went on to reverse sweep, winning the series 4-2. Walton was named Finals MVP on averages of 18 points, 19 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 blocks. Dr. J averaged 30 points a game in a losing effort. Here's what Jack Ramsey, the Blazers coach, had to say after the game.
I want our team captain, who has been such a great force for us, not only on the playing floor, but in his leadership and in his communication and everything with me. I've never coached a better player, I've never coached a better competitor, and I've never coached a better person than Bill Walton.
Gene Shue, the 76ers coach, had this to say of Walton. "Bill Walton is the best player for a big man who ever played the game of basketball. If you're wondering what happened to this team, they actually had a spectacular start to the next season, going 50-10 with full health to start the season. But unfortunately, Walton got injured and they backed into the playoffs. He played the first game, but broke his foot in the second game, and the Blazers faltered without him, losing to the Supersonics 4-2. Walton, who long was accused by fans and in his own mind the owners for over-exaggerating injuries, had been forced to take painkillers by the team doctor to stay on the court, completely destroying his feet and ankles for the rest of his career in the process. He sat out the next year in protest, and the team was broken up. In the end, this Blazers team cemented itself as one of the greatest true teams of all time, although they get almost no recognition today. This, along with being the youngest NBA champion ever, really cements their status as the most underrated team of all time. If any of you young athletes out there are looking for a team and players to model your mentality after, look no farther than the 77 Blazers and Maurice Lucas and Bill Walton. Lucas's toughness and Walton's unending positivity and team-first mentality is the real secret to their championship. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look back on time in this great team. Don't forget to sign up as a member if you guys are interested. Peace.
Okay, here are my second 10. Okay, I've got Akeem, I've got Oscar, I got Dr. J. These are all better than Steph right here, right now. I've got David Robinson. You think not?
No.
Karl Malone,
No.
second all-time leading scorer.
No.
Right? Oh, stop it.
No.
I got Bill Walton.
No.
Oh, stop it.
No.
You have no idea what you're talking about. Do you remember Bill Walton?
I do.
He dominated pro basketball the way very
For
few
2 years.
dominated. He got hurt.
That's my point.
Did he not dominate a finals, just take it over?
scared.
He took it over. He was the runaway MVP, regular season finals. I haven't seen that from Steph yet. I haven't seen him take over in the biggest moments. I'm sorry.
My dad had Parkinson's disease, and it was advancing to the point where we were worried he's not going to get out of the house. He wasn't going to be able to get out of the house. Now, we lived in New York, and my younger brother, Pete, called me up and said, "Hey, before he can't travel anymore, let's take him to see the USS Midway." The Midway is the aircraft carrier. It's in San Diego right now as a museum. And my dad served on the Midway in the Korean War. Had not been on the ship since he left the service. So we made plans to go and take him out to see the Midway one last time. And I called Bill because Bill lives in San Diego. I said, "I need a hotel recommendation." Well, of course, Bill's like, "You're not staying in a hotel, you're staying in my home." So we planned this 3-day trip out there. And for 3 days, when we get out there, Bill was by my father's side for 3 straight days. First thing he did is he put him in the bedroom, the Bob Dylan room. All Bill's rooms in his home were named after people, mostly musicians. And the Bob Dylan room was a place of honor. So he put my dad in the Bob Dylan room. And, you know, every meal, "John, you sit here next to me. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. We'd go for drives to places. "John, you sit in the front seat with me." They were inseparable for 3 days. Bill would not leave his side. And then the day we went to see the Midway, where I was thinking we're just going to go buy tickets like anybody who can get a tour. Well, the day before, he had called over to the Midway and told them that one of your heroes is returning to the ship that he served on. So when we get there, we are greeted by the commander of the Midway, and he takes us on this 2-hour tour in and out. And guys, an aircraft carrier is no place for a 7-foot man who has back, knee, and ankle problems. It was a painful walk for Bill, but he, every step of the way, never left my father's side. It was really emotional for him, for my dad, going back and the condition he was in. And he broke down a couple of times. And every time he broke down, my brother and I did the same thing. And I'd look at Bill, and there's Bill. He's got tears just streaming down his cheeks. So then we get back to the house after just an amazing day that meant so much to my father, and that Bill came with him. I couldn't find the 2 of them. I'm like, where'd they go? Bill had a teepee in his yard. I mean, an enormous teepee that you could sleep a number of people. And I go back looking. There's the 2 of them sitting in the teepee, just talking about life, and Bill listening to my father's stories and back and forth. So when we left, Bill wasn't my friend. Bill was my father's friend. And he didn't live much longer after that. And my mother, who's still alive, she said until he passed, he talked about that all the time. It was in a tough stretch. The end of his life was very difficult. Those were the 3 best days in the last years of his life. And there's a huge picture still in this day. My mother still lives in the same house. There's a huge picture of the two of them sitting in the teepee together that she adores the picture. And when I was given the Gowdy Award at the Basketball Hall of Fame, I took my whole family up there, including my mother. And there were so many NBA legends there. She had no interest, and she's a basketball fan. She had no interest in meeting any of them. She just kept saying to me, "Where's Bill? I need to meet Bill Walton." And when she met him, and I get emotional even thinking about it. She just wanted to say thank you for what you did for my husband. Yeah. What he did those 3 days were 3 of the happiest days of my father's life.
That's such a good story. Yeah, I mean that is so Bill Walton. Like he just, like I said, even the 3 hours we spent with him, he makes you feel like the most important person in the world, and he does that it seems like he did that for everyone.
Right. You think you're the only one that he's sending these wonderful texts to, or he's doing those? He does it for.
Yeah, I know.
And it's, how many people in our lives, when they say your name or say their name to you, the first reaction you have is you smile or you laugh. And anytime anybody would say, "Hey, tell me about Bill Walton," I'd either laugh or smile, and then I'd go into a story. And that's the gift he gave all of us, in that no matter if he was with you or even when he wasn't with you, when he came up, you had to smile.
That's awesome. Yeah.